Hi folks, it's Monday, October the 2nd. It is October 2nd, right?
It is.
And that means it is Operation Typhoon Day, and I thought I felt somebody brush against me, but I didn't. So,
You did, it was Ollie.
oh, it was the meatloaf. Ollie the meatloaf. Speaking of meatloaf, we have maybe a new addition. Unnamed, showed up in the backyard at 10 p.m. last night, and Hunter announced it. It was on the back wall, a little black kitty who's probably 6 to 8 weeks old. So it's in the detached garage right now doing
Sleeping.
little kitty things. So anyway, what game do we have today, miss?
North Africa 41.
You want to hold it up so people can actually see it? Oh, thank you. Yes, North Africa 41. And who's it by? Say GMT.
GMT.
GMT. And we thank Tony, Curtis, and Elizabeth for it.
Thank you, Tony.
Who do you associate North Africa with?
The Desert Fox.
The Desert Fox. And folks, I didn't have to prompt her about that one. She knew that one in advance because she knows how we feel about the Desert Fox. So, not too heavy of a game, is it?
No, not
No. So we will be doing a quick look at this. We will be sending this to our friend and fellow reviewer at Panzer Digest magazine. If you don't read it, you're silly. But we will be sending it there to Dave Newport, who lives in Windsor, Colorado. So, what's Miss Katie always do next?
Bye-bye.
Bye-byes. Hi folks, you saw of course Miss Katie's thing, I need a drink, and of course, what manly virile man doesn't drink leftover tea out of a Winnie the Pooh mug?
That's Eeyore.
Well, it's got Winnie on it too, and Eeyore, because we like Eeyore, because Eeyore often has the right gaming attitude. Oh.
I love Eeyore.
But, new game from GMT, as I noted earlier, we will be sending this to Dave Newport in Windsor, Colorado. Beautiful box art, PK3, PK2, Italian tank, Felicia Storch. My only question is, the guys back here, why don't they have goggles on? Having moved both at what was then Fort Hood, Texas, and at Fort Irwin in the National Training Center, and in Iraq, I always had my goggles on because I got tired of eating dust. So, back of the box looks good. More, I think slightly more counters than other. And of course, this is a Mark Simonich game, Mark M, or Mark S, correction. So, but, first things first, 2 map sheets. Map sheet number 1. Up around the Horn in North Africa. We'll look at this in closer detail. You can see this, which means you can't see me. Shipping, little box here for Italy, means shipping is unlimited on the first impulse. Then the second one, which has most of the game tracks and turn track and all, is here. So, also comes with a mounted map board. We're not going to show you the mounted map board because it's much harder to lift up. Counters. How many sheets of counters do you think it has, folks? Well, let's find out here because I'm thinking it has 1 times 2. Game counters, okay? Ta-da! You know, Italian, German, British, and their various nationalities. You can have up to 5 stacking points in a hex, but only 2 nationalities can do that, and only 2 nationalities, that is at the Commonwealth, can attack together. So, counters, front, back, lots of markers. There are 11 different types of markers in this game. A lot of markers. Then we have, in typical GMT fashion, we have, yay, nice card stock for both Axis Allied setup and reinforcements here. And, as I showed you previously, Crusader. easy to use. We have the ubiquitous 2-die, rules of play, 28 pages, playbook, which is 20 pages. Then we have the combat result table, terrain effect chart, anti-shipping table. The two maps, I put them together. They link up well. No issue that way. You have to say at first, well, am I going to get to Alexandria in one? You could. Unlikely, but you could get there. You also allowed to use what's called free stacking units. Usually the British armor and, well, the armor in general in the game is what's called a free stacking unit. It doesn't cost you anything. But you can only use up to 3 tanks for the Commonwealth in a battle because it reflects the British inability to think in combined arm terms. There are 4 phases in a turn, one of which is an action one, but there are 12 impulses. So I don't want to say it's a long one, and I'm looking here and it's not on here. So you're going to need to make a copy of it out of the rule book to facilitate quick and easy play. I always prefer quick and easy play. There are 3 troop qualities. Units are either elite, okay, or green. It's going to matter in play. There's a road bonus of 5 hexes in the game. That means you get to travel 5 extra hexes. So rather than the old movement of half a hex per road hex, you get to go and then get 5 extra hex movement. Just a different way to do it. There's also extended movement. Extended movement, like in so many games, you can do it if you go from point X to point Y, as long as point Y does not end up in an enemy zone of control. Standard fare with that. Just standard fare. There's tactical movement, which doesn't cost you any movement points. Now, that's the first time I've come across that, and I kind of like that idea, that if you're only going to move 1 or 2 hexes, it really probably shouldn't cost you much because it's a tactical move. Do you like it? Well, let me know and see what you think, for those of you who play this. There's also, I need to show you this on the one map. There is, you will notice, in Libya, fold the map over so it's less distracting. There are no hexes down here. You can move 1 or 2 of these per turn. Kind of just point to point. Saves on ink. There are rules for that because it is trackless desert. Okay. Trucks matter. Trucks become your MSUs, your main supply units. They either move reinforcements forward or supply points forward, because your supply points go ahead and feed your artillery. Now, Marquez decides not to make this a heavy logistics game. I think that's a good idea, because you could be worrying about, like in the campaign for North Africa from SPI, about getting fuel forward, about getting water forward, about getting tea bags forward, about getting Italian wine forward. Yeah, I mean, so you're not doing that here. Zones of control. There are zones of control. You can leave, but it costs you 2 extra points to leave. Okay, nothing a standard there. You can also move from zone to control to zone to control. From Zoc to Zoc. Okay, again, nothing unusual by doing that, but just so you know, combat, it's the standard sort. You've got here the combat result table is an result at table. Round odds down. Trucks can be captured. Let's go back to those for a second. Trucks can be captured, which is good, but there's a limitation on the amount of trucks you can capture. Tanks can provide shifts. Makes sense. That makes sense. Let's see. Zones of control matter. We go back to Rule 14.4 with Matildas, and Matildas are slower than a tree sloth. They don't move fast. Historically, that was true, and glad to see that he went ahead and covered that. I'm going to take my eye off to the corner for a second because Miss Frankie is over looking in the corner and sniffing, and that's okay. There's a breakthrough combat. Breakthrough combat can happen, and when it does, you can advance 2 extra hexes. Or maybe more. What it also allows you to do, and I like this, is that with the other units around it, you can form a breakthrough group. Very, very realistic for the way Rommel and German doctrine was to form ad hoc, of course, Kampf groups or battle groups or whatever you're going to call them. But that good point here. Supply. Attrition will happen. If you're 2 turns without supply, you can run into attrition. Again, makes sense because being in the desert without water and having been in the desert without much water, and in fact on the invasion of Iraq, I wouldn't allow my soldiers to shave with water. You can dry shave, or I can give you an Article 15 because we were limited to 2 bottles of water a day. So you can either drink water and stay hydrated, or you can explain to your wife or your fiance at home why you have significantly less pay for the invasion of Iraq. Special units. There's a DAC headquarters, there's a Rommel unit, and of course there's the ubiquitous M88 to wreak havoc on the British armor. Again, all standard stuff, but when you read through it in the rules, it all works. It all is configured smartly. Replacement units. Again, a standard thing. They will either restore a unit or return an eliminated unit back to play. Let's see. What are other points do I want to talk about here, Toots? Ports. Well, ports matter. And in fact, just like in the recent desert victory, there is here, you've got port boxes. Read up on those because you will find that not only do ports matter, but there is also coastal naval transport. Usually not given much shrift in any of these histories, but done well here. Gotta like that. There are 3 scenarios in total, so you're gonna get your value that way. What else do I want to say? I wanted to look up and find for you. There's a really good book on the Italian merchant marine in World War II. I have it on, what do I want to call it? Not on Kindle or anything, but I think I copied it all at one point because you can't buy it anywhere. So, let's talk about books. We always talk about books. First, Dilemmas of the Desert War. Covers the whole thing, rather breezy, concise, maybe a bit breezy for your taste. We finished it recently. Nice little book. Then, of course, for this part, this is more for the post-1941, probably volume 2 or volume 3 of Germany in the Second World War has the other one. And another fun book to give you the other side of the hill sort of perspective, The Italians. Mussolini's War, highly recommended, but the military stuff in it is a little you got to dig a little for it, and it's not always straightforward, and it's done in the bigger picture context, but very much worth understanding Germany's main erstwhile allies. So, there we have it, folks. I'm going to have a sip of tea before I say goodbye. From my Winnie the Pooh and Eeyore mug. As always, folks, we thank you. Have a blessed day, and we'll keep you posted on the kitten. Bye.